We're gonna start here with class. I know we got a lot of newer brothers and sisters here. We're gonna title this one "The Independence of Israel." Hashtag Passover, parentheses Passover, whichever makes you feel better. If you sleep at night. The Independence of Israel. So we got a lot of reading. We got some videos to do. What we're gonna do this Sabbath, and if the Lord spares our life to see another Sabbath, we'll go into the new covenant of Passover. Right now, we'll deal with just our deliverance coming out of Egypt. Right? Go to John 8:32. So we can get the understanding thereof of what we are about to partake in.
The book of John, chapter 8, verse 32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Read it again.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
So there's only one way that the truth can make you free that we have to know. Go to Romans 15:4. There's only one way to know the truth that'll set you free, to be set free. Read that.
The book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 4.
For
whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
So the only way to be set free by the truth is you have to learn those things that were written aforetime before we got here. Because of Deuteronomy 33:29. So that's how we're going to be set free by the truth. I know coming out of religion, we was all heavy New Testament readers. Very heavy New Testament readers. And if we ever went to the Old Testament, the only thing we read was Psalms to make us feel good. When somebody did us wrong. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Yea, although I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. We used to quote that thing like crazy. That was it. Didn't know nothing else. Read that. Deuteronomy 33:29.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 33, verse 29. Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Lord, the shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency, and thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee.
So God is telling us that our enemies shall be found liars unto us. That's why we have to learn the things that was written aforetime to be set free by the truth of God. If we don't take the time to learn those things that happened before us, we will stay in the, what you would call in the cyclone of lies that Esau wants to keep us in. Now, let me see here. Let's see here. Go to Isaiah 58. Here's a question for us. When did they start lying? When? Philip, when did they start lying?
From the womb.
From the womb. God said as soon as they came out, they was lying. Not Isaiah, Psalms 58:3. Psalms 58:3.
Psalms 58 and verse 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb.
The wicked are estranged from the womb. Go ahead.
They go astray as soon as they be born. Speaking lies.
Doing what?
Speaking lies.
The wicked speak lies as soon as they born. Right? Read on.
Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like the deaf adder that stoppeth her ear.
So nobody's ever took poison and expected their health to get better. So God is like them lies that you feeding into of your enemies that are the wicked. It'll never do you any good. It will destroy you slowly but surely. Read on.
Which will not hearken to the voice of charmers, charming never so wisely.
So what that means is that you can speak as much truth to them as you want to. They will never change. Everybody knows that the new year even if you are you consciously ignorant of it, but when somebody asks you to think about it, you know daggone well that the new year does not start in January. This is common knowledge to people that just think about it. Some people just float on autopilot of stupid until you actually ask them. They're like, oh yeah, March, April, spring. They know that stuff. But if you, as much truth as we tell the wicked, they ain't gonna change it. They're not going to change. They're going to keep it the way they are because they're born speaking lies. So give it a precept on the wicked so we can identify who it is. What's the precept for the wicked? So we know exactly who it is on the earth. Let's see who knows. Brother Lakim. Because we got some new people in here. They might not know. Who does God call the wicked?
Job 28 verse 9.
Nope. Shemaiah 1.
Now look out of 1, 3, and 4.
Let's go to it. So we identify exactly who God is talking about being liars from the jump.
The book
Y'all
of
be
Malachi.
looking at them little babies, be like, "Oh, it's so cute." That God says it's a liar. It's void of color. It looks like it's half dead, and it's a liar. Go ahead.
The book of Malachi, chapter 1 and verse 3. And I hated Esau, and laid his mountain and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness.
Esau is the so-called Caucasian man. Go ahead.
Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places.
They did that in the Renaissance era when they was in captivity during the Dark Ages for those 1,000 or so years. They came up out of it during the Dark Ages, the Renaissance, rebirth. Go ahead.
Thus says the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down.
That day is coming.
And they shall call them the borders of wickedness.
They call Esau the border of wickedness. Go ahead.
And the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever.
So God says they are wicked and he hates them forever. There is no timetable on forever, all right? So let's go to, let me see. Give me that video that I got to prove the Bible, show you the Bible's a true book about Psalms 58, how early they start lying.
And I've spoke about how racism is taught in the household. Because if you teach it in the household, then that's how it continues. So there's a video that came out that's been going viral. It's everywhere right now. This video is actually out of the UK and is of a mother talking to her child about some cookies. Now I want you to hear just a short exchange, and it's going to prove exactly everything I've ever stated. Let's roll the clip.
Where are they gone? You don't know? So who ate them all?
Someone come round and they just ate them all.
Someone come around and ate the cakes?
Yeah.
So someone broke into a home and ate Mr. Kipling's Angel Slices. Didn't take the TV, didn't take, some jewellery. They took these cakes.
And it was a black man.
Of all of that's heavy.
Yeah.
Because we understand that part. We have many children who took that candy. Oh, not me. I didn't do it. But that shows you the levels of Satan right there. Not only she lied, but guess what? It was a black man.
Yeah, blame it on the black man. I know that much. Blame it on these niggas. They lying from the womb. That's a perfect example right there. Fresh out. Lying. All right, go to Psalms 83. You're right, no, because, I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
The book of Psalms.
So why do they lie? Psalms 83.
The book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 1. Keep not thy silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thy enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people.
They did what?
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones.
Here's why they lie. Go ahead.
They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So part of their lying is they lied to cut us off as a nation. Cut us off from God and us coming together, unified, and with one thought, as one people. We got people over here they do Easter, they do Passover over here, they celebrate Christmas here, they're gonna worship Buddha over here. Cut them off from God and as a nation, that they'll be scattered. No unity, so they'll never overthrow us. They'll never come together and their God come back. Go to Jude chapter 5. Let's prove that. They lied so we be cut off from God as a people and as a nation. Therefore, we have no unity. Let's read Judah chapter 5, and I want to start at verse 3 through 4. If you haven't read the book of Judah, I advise you to. It's a lot of history in there, a lot of great precepts. Judith was a wise woman.
The book of Judith, chapter 5, verse 20.
Verse 3. Let's get straight. We're going to read verse 3. You'll jump through.
Verse 3. And he said unto them, Tell me now, ye sons of
Canaan. That's it, Canaan. It's just
Canaan.
spelled a different way.
Who this people is that dwelleth in the hill country, and what are the cities that they inhabit, and what is the multitude of their army, and wherein is their power and strength?
Wherein is their power and strength? Where do they get it from? Go ahead.
And what king is set over them, or captain of their army?
Read on.
And why have they determined not to come and meet me, more than all the inhabitants of the west?
Jump down to verse, let's see, I want 6. Yeah, jump down to verse 6.
Verse 6. This people are descendant of the Chaldeans.
So, descendant of the Chaldeans means we came out of that area, which is Mesopotamia, right? Go ahead.
And they sojourned heretofore in Mesopotamia,
Which is modern day Iraq. That's where Abraham came from, the land of Ur. Go ahead.
because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of Chaldea.
Chaldea. Does anybody know what Ur means? Nobody knows what it means? So write this down. Ur means fire. That's where the word fire comes from. The letter Ur, however you want to pronounce it, means fire. So the reason that place is called fire is because of what? Why do you think it's called fire? No, it's hot as hell. Ain't no white people over there in the middle of the desert. It's called fire because it's hot. All right, so read on.
And verse 8, for they left the way of their ancestors and worshipped the God of heaven, the God of whom they knew. So they cast them out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia,
that would be Haran. Go ahead.
and sojourned there many days.
Now jump down to verse 17.
Verse 17, and whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hated iniquity was with them.
He was with us as long as we don't sin as a nation. Go ahead.
But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles very sore, and were led captive into the land that were not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. But now are they returned to their God, and are come up from the place where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, for it was desolate.
Read on.
Now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin.
That's why they cut us off, because if we stay in sin, it will be our ruin. And the thing is, this is another nation telling another nation of how to deal with the Israelites. And that's what they do amongst themselves now. Keep them in sin, keep them in poverty, keep them oppressed, and they will forever be cut off as a people from their God. Good.
Right, and that's also how you see they keep us connected with media. They flood you with distractions to keep you from keeping God's commandments. Every little second, your phone will blink, send you a notification, keep you occupied in sin. Even when you go to Facebook now, you'll watch one video, then I'll take you to another video, take you to another video, and then 2 days will pass by. Still caught up.
Caught up in the matrix of videos, Facebook videos. I've been there before. Read verse 20 again.
Verse 20, now therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error in this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overtake them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation,
Go ahead.
let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God before them, and we become a reproach before all the world.
So the nations know how to keep us down, keep us separated from God and as a people. They have to keep us in the midst of sin. And one of those ways is not celebrating Passover, New Year's, and all of that stuff. Give me the videos now. Now you can go back to the first one. I think it's the history one. Yeah, let's go to the history one. Bet you didn't know. This is how they keep us in sin and cut off from God.
For many people around the world, January 1st offers an opportunity to make a fresh start with a new year. But we bet you didn't know that over the last 4,000 years, New Year's wasn't always celebrated on the 1st of January. The original New Year's celebration, the massive Babylonian religious festival of Akitu, was held every year around the spring equinox. In 46 BC, Julius Caesar introduced a new calendar that was synced to the sun instead of the moon, officially moving New Year's celebrations from March 1st to January 1st. In the Middle Ages, the Christian Church did away with many of the ancient Roman festivals because of their pagan roots. As a result, New Year's was celebrated on various dates throughout medieval Europe. Finally, in 1582, Pope Gregory XIII overhauled the calendar system again. The Gregorian calendar, which we still use today, restored January 1st as New Year's Day. Even today, some countries and cultures follow a lunar, not solar calendar, and hold their New Year's celebrations at different times of the year. Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year, and the first day of Muharram, the start of the Islamic calendar year, are both celebrated in the fall.
Pause it. That's how you know them fake Jews don't even know. They don't do nothing in the Bible. They celebrate their New Year in the fall.
And the Chinese New Year, which lasts for a whole month, begins in late January or early February. New Year's traditions also vary from country to country. In Spain, people eat 12 grapes in the seconds leading up to midnight. Other cultures also eat special foods for New Year's. Greeks eat ring-shaped cakes with silver or gold coins baked inside. In China, a dumpling represents hope for an auspicious New Year. And in Japan, long buckwheat noodles symbolize long life. Since 1904, crowds have packed New York's Times Square for one of the most famous New Year's traditions of all, the dropping of the ball. At midnight, hundreds of thousands of people enjoy the mesmerizing kaleidoscopic effect with nearly 16 million vivid colors and billions of patterns. From champagne and fireworks to resolutions and fresh starts, New Year's has always been many things to many people, and it has a long and colorful history that we bet you didn't know.
All right, so you see things about, go to Daniel 7:25. So you see who changed the calendar. Everybody used to do, they followed the lunar calendar. They switched it to start going on the sun, right? All of that stuff. That's why you got Sunday. All of that, right? Came from Rome. Daniel 7:25.
The book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 25. And he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws.
So God is telling you, it ain't just one specific person. He's talking about a nation. This people, this man and his nation will think to change times and laws. They think they're doing it by changing calendars, changing days, moving stuff around. But God gave us the ultimate symbol of knowing time, the moon and the sun. That's how we calculate our days. Go ahead, Officer Tobias.
Yeah, we got a lot of new people in here, some new people in here, like with Levi or so-called Haitians. They eat soup jumu or whatever on a new moon.
On a new year.
New year, New Year. And blacks, we what? Green beans for money, black eyed peas for good luck.
Yeah.
All of this other stuff.
I forgot about that. Dang.
Right. Same thing with you.
Wow. No, it's been a long time. I didn't even think about that. But you see how it's wrapped up in a lot of idolatry too. Coins and cakes, long noodles, whatever that stuff was, looked like a little, I don't know, a dough. It looked nasty. Dumpling. Yeah, it looked nasty. Go to the next one. So from that comes this. Go to the next one.
It's not an official holiday, but April Fool's Day is still a much-loved tradition among pranksters throughout the world. For all its popularity, it might come as a surprise that no one really knows when, where, or how April Fool's Day got started. So, is there a real reason why April 1st has become an international obsession? According to one common theory, the tradition dates all the way back to 16th century France, when Pope Gregory XIII issued a papal bull mandating a new calendar system for Europe. The Gregorian calendar, as it became known, set the start of the year on January 1st instead of the beginning of spring in late March or early April.
They know the New Year starts when, brothers? Late March, early April. They know that, but they change times through the calendar system, right? Run it back a little bit. Let's watch it again.
The Gregorian calendar, as it became known, set the start of the year on January 1st instead of the beginning of spring in late March or early April. Word of the change traveled slowly in France, and many people in rural areas continued to celebrate the new year in the spring. These slow adapters became known as April Fools, and were singled out for pranks and jokes by their countrymen, who had held their celebrations months earlier. But there are a couple of problems with the calendar change theory. For one thing, many people in France had already started celebrating the new year on January 1st, long before 1582. The switch occurred gradually all over France, not suddenly after the papal bull. And even before the change, the new year hadn't been connected specifically to April 1st, but with the Easter holiday. Some theories date the origins of April Fool's Day centuries earlier, to ancient Roman festivals celebrated in the spring, such as Hilaria. And Eastern cultures have their own versions of the lighthearted tradition, including Holi in India, a festival of colors during which people throw colored water or paint on each other. While it seems unclear how it started, by the 1700s, English pranksters were celebrating April 1st by playing tricks, such as pinning false tales on unsuspecting people or sending them on fake errands. As the holiday became more popular, newspapers, radio and TV stations, and businesses got into the act, with false headlines, news stories, or promotional campaigns. One of history's most famous hoaxes took place in 1957, when the British Broadcasting Corporation fooled many people into believing that people in Switzerland grew spaghetti on trees. And in the United States in 1998, gullible fast food customers got caught asking for the left-handed burger, a sandwich supposedly engineered for southpaws that a national chain advertised in the paper.
So I want you to understand, they basically are glorifying lying to people. So just like what the scriptures was bringing out earlier, fresh out the womb, they started lying. Now, April Fools, they're glorifying what? Lying to one another.
Go ahead.
Despite its long and interesting history, April Fool's Day may soon be a thing of the past. Recently, governments across the globe began moving to officially outlaw the holiday, citing lost worker productivity on the prank-filled day. April Fools!
All right, so y'all see where it came from, and the only reason they're thinking about stopping is because they're losing money. Right. That's the only thing get them to change their mind, right? Play the next video. So from the false New Year came a false holiday of April Fools, and ultimately comes this.
Easter, the holiest day of the Christian calendar, a celebration of Jesus Christ's resurrection from the dead. So what does this miracle have to do with a bunny delivering painted eggs? The answer lies in 100 generations of rituals and customs. According to the Gospels of the New Testament, Jesus Christ and his apostles entered Jerusalem to observe Passover, the Jewish holy season that celebrates the Hebrews' release from slavery. After the Passover supper, Jesus was arrested, and on what is now called Good Friday, he was crucified. 2 days later, he rose from the dead. Those of Jewish origin were the first to celebrate the resurrection, likely as a new facet of the Passover festival. In fact, the Easter celebration was called Pascha. It's derived from the word Pesach, the Jewish translation for Passover. Originally, Easter was celebrated 2 days after Passover, so it fell on any day of the week. But Easter Wednesday just didn't feel right. In 325 AD, Roman Emperor Constantine and the Council of Nicaea ruled that Easter must fall only on a Sunday, the day when Christ rose. Easter Sunday would be the first Sunday to follow the full moon after the spring equinox. It could occur anywhere between March 22nd and April 25th.
So you see how they mirrored truth with lies to bring in the paganism. They said we're going to make it on Sunday every year, but it has to be between March and April, the same time that what happens, brothers? Passover. To make it easy for people to transition right on into this lie, put it around the same time. People won't think nothing of it. Go ahead, play it.
Around this same time, Christians began one of the first recorded rituals of the modern Easter celebration, the lighting of the Paschal candle, its flame a reminder of Christ's resurrection, light out of darkness. As Christianity spread throughout Europe, different pagan customs blended into the holidays. In fact, the actual word Easter may have come from Estra, the goddess of spring and fertility, which brings us to the Easter egg. Eggs have been a mythological symbol of birth for thousands of years. Christians adopted the egg as an Easter custom sometime around the 13th century. The yolk inside a shell represented Christ's emergence from the tomb. Eggs were painted red to represent the blood Christ shed on the cross. The colorful Easter egg soon hatched its own traditions. A popular one was egg rolling. In 1876, Congress prohibited kids from playing on the Capitol grounds. So, President Rutherford B. Hayes opened the White House lawn to the little rollers. After that, the White House Easter egg roll became a tradition. So when did that Easter bunny hop into the scene? The fertile rabbit had long been a symbol of new life in European pagan celebrations. Beginning around the 16th century, parents told children that if they behaved, on the eve of Easter, the Osterhaus would come and lay colorful eggs. Children built nests in their homes to entice the rabbit to visit. And so began the customs of the Easter egg hunt and the Easter basket. To help fill out those baskets, 19th century European chocolatiers began making egg-shaped chocolates. The sweet trend quickly spread throughout the world. Today, billions of dollars are spent each year on Easter candy. Easter. It's a joyful day when Christians celebrate the resurrection.
All right, straight up lies. So y'all see how deep the rabbit hole go. That's why Paul had to remind us things written aforetime are written for your what? So you don't get caught up. Let me read this too here. It's in the book called The Antichrist. Right? Deacon Ithon brought this out a while ago. Let's see. I'm gonna read it here. It says it's on page 44. It says, this Sunday was the holiest of the holy to the pagan. Means the ungodly, those that didn't believe. The Satanists is what I call it. This pagan observance was called Easter. This says here, has the reader ever wondered what the Easter bunny has to do with the resurrection of Christ or the Easter egg? Like the festival of Christmas and the Christmas tree, they have nothing whatsoever to do with the gospel of Christ. The Queen of Heaven was also a goddess of fertility. And because the rabbit and the hen were noted for their many offsprings, they were her symbols. Even the word Easter is of pagan origin. It is Chaldean, which means Babylonian, and means Astarte or Ashtaroth that you read in the Bible. This is one of the titles of Beltis, the Queen of Heaven at Nineveh. Right? So it's going into that. I'll post that too so y'all can see that. Give me the next video. Give me the next video. Oh, I love it. What's his dude name? Paul Robeson? Oh, you gotta love this old Edomite devil. He's so old that he just started telling the truth. He don't even know what he's doing no more. They don't know what he's lying, telling the truth. You ask him something, he just brings it out. So let's play this video.
Welcome back to the 700 Club. Well, we're going to jump right in with a question that I want to know because my 9-year-old son asked me this very question this morning. John says, what is the significance of the eggs and bunnies during the celebration of Easter? I mean, isn't the day about the resurrection of Jesus Christ? And is it wrong if I allow my children to celebrate with Easter baskets, chocolate bunnies, and Easter egg hunts as long as I tell them the true meaning of Easter?
All right. I did a little bit of research to make sure I got it right, but first of all, there's no mention of Easter in the Bible. None.
Okay.
The word does not appear in the New Testament.
He's wrong there, but we'll get into it.
It taken from a Germanic goddess Westra, who was a symbol of spring. All right, this Germanic goddess liked rabbits. From what we gathered, the Teutonic people had a myth that rabbits were hermaphrodites, and they did not need sex in order to reproduce because they had so many little bunnies.
That's what they believed.
That's what they believed.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's true, but they believed that. And this Westra had rabbits all around. Now, the egg in pagan mythology is the symbol of sex and reproduction. And if you look at some of the ancient cathedrals, and not cathedral, ancient temples, they have the egg and dart symbol. They have the phallic symbol, and they have eggs. And they have them in the cornices. You see them all the time. All right. So it's all pagan. Every bit of it is pagan. And so this business about bunnies has to do with hermaphrodite animals having all kinds of little babies that were the favorite animals of Westra, from which the Teutonic goddess. Now, we checked with Discovery Channel, which in turn checked with the University of Florida, and this is also from the Biblical Encyclopedia, so we get it all. That's where it comes from. Totally, utterly, completely pagan. Pagan fertility symbols. Okay. Now, is it wrong? I mean, hey, kids want candy eggs.
God bless them.
God bless them. But tell them it has nothing to do with the resurrection of Jesus. These are candy eggs. Don't talk about some mythical bunny. I mean, please, don't do that. Don't act like there's anything to it that has any spiritual significance whatsoever. If you say, okay, we're going to have a hunt for candied eggs, go ahead and hunt for them.
Yeah.
That's a game.
Yeah.
Play games.
Yeah.
I don't see any sin in that. But if you get into this stuff, just keep in mind where it comes from. And the real time when Jesus was crucified was the Passover. And so the church went through a big deal of trying to figure out the exact time. And the Eastern Church split with the Western Church. And so it's too complicated to discuss because I don't fully understand what they were doing. But nevertheless, it has to do with the vernal equinox, and it has to do with the time of the full moon, which Passover was the time of the full moon. Which Passover was the time of the full moon. Which Passover was the time of the full moon. Which Passover was the time of the full moon.
Message. White men know when the real new moon is. It's the full moon. Passover has to do with the full moon. All right, keep playing. Let's play. Let's play. It's a little more, up to 4 minutes.
So it's a couple of weeks after that. And that's so you'll find Easter and the Passover coinciding roughly in the calendar.
So I'm listening to you answer this question, and I'm thinking, how am I going to translate what you said to answer my son? So.
Tell your son it's a pagan symbol from the old Germanic tribes, and it has nothing to do with Jesus. Tell him the truth.
Make sure y'all tell y'all kids that. Now, you tell your nephews and stuff, you might not be allowed around no more, okay? Get ready for that. All right, so give me Jeremiah 10. Give me Jeremiah 10 real quick. 10. Let's read verse 1 and top of 2.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord spaketh unto you, O house of Israel. Thus says the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen.
Learn not the way of the heathen. Go ahead.
And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed at them. For the custom of the people are vain.
The customs of the people are lies. They admit it out of their own mouth. It's lies. It's rooted in lies. It will never, ever be any truth. The only way that you can find yourself in that stuff is you are willingly ignorant. You choose to be stupid and follow that stuff. You don't want to know the truth. You want to live in that lie. God says all their ways are lies. They've been lying since they came out. Give me Revelation 18. Revelation chapter 18. Learn not the ways.
The book of Revelation, chapter 18, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven, saying, Come out from her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues.
So God says, come out of her. Don't partake in the things that this place, Babylon the Great, partakes in, because you'll get caught up with those sins, and when the judgment comes on Babylon the Great, you are deserving of the same judgment that it's going to get, because you have fully taken in the ways and haven't taken the time to learn your own ways. Now, he mentioned about Passover or Easter not being in the New Testament. Give me the Deacon Idon video and pull that up, and let's play that. I can't explain it no better than the mighty Deacon Idon, the doctrine killer, a.k.a. the doctrine killer. It's already at the start point, and just let this play, and we're going to let it play for 20 minutes.
Acts 12, verse 1. You mentioned earlier how Herod had killed James, brother of John. We'll read it again from the top. We're going to read the verse.
Yes, sir. Acts 12 and 1.
Yeah.
Now about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also.
Watch this.
Then were the days of unleavened bread.
During this time was Passover was taking place. During this time, go ahead.
And when he had apprehended him,
he arrested Peter. Go ahead.
He put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him.
Watch this.
Intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people.
Stop. Now, Easter here, I've heard rumors that Easter here translates to the word Passover. Originally, it did, but not in this chapter here. It did not. Let's go to Zonovan. You know I want. Dictionary. Go look up Easter there. Zonovan Bible Dictionary there. And I want you to go to Bible Study Tools. I sent you the link. Bible Study Tools. Hold that. Go to Bible Study Tools. Watch this. Because I was told that if we can't deal with the Hebrew, listen, you're going to like this one. We can't deal with the Hebrew, explain Easter. Because Easter, when you go to Hebrew, it translates to Passover. Okay. So you gotta go into the Hebrew to understand the Bible in certain times. No, that's not true. Go to the Bible. The Bible, no, go to the link. It says the arrow next to the Bible. It says the Bible is your arrow. No, I'm sorry. No, leave it alone. Go to version. Yeah, go to translation. Go down to T. You should see Tyndale. Tyndale. Yep, click that. All right, stay there. Read that, please. Zonovan, read that.
Easter. Hold on. Okay. Rendered, it says Easter in parentheses, Passover.
Stop. Easter rendered Passover. So Easter and Passover in some contexts were synonymous. Watch, I'm going to show you what I mean. Go ahead.
Rendered Easter in Acts chapter 12, verse 4.
Rendered Easter in Acts chapter 12, verse 4.
King James Version.
King James Version, go ahead.
But correctly translated Passover in ASV.
But correctly translated Passover in the ASV. ASV stands for American Standardized Version Bible. That's the Revised Version Bible. Now, we know about the Revised Version Bibles. You know what they do, don't we? They take things out. Like Jeremiah 14:2 with American Standardized Version, it ain't going to say black unto the ground in there. If you go to black but commonly in the Standard Version, it's not going to say black and comely. It's going to say dark and lovely. Two different things. Black and dark, two different things. I drive a dark car. What color is the car? Red, green, blue. Drive a black car. It's a black car. A dark man robbed my house. Well, what was he? A dark man. Well, which one that mean? Which one? What is he? A black man robbed my house. You don't know if I say a black man robbed my house, you know, it's us. See my point? That's what American Standardized Version Bibles do.
The key thing, Deacon, is why every place it says black, they changed it.
Right.
If it wasn't a big deal, if we're making the Bible to say something else, then leave it alone.
Right.
Okay, same thing with Job 30:30.
Yep.
It says, my skin is black upon me. They changed it to my skin turns black or my skin grows black.
Right.
Why change it? What was the purpose of it? That's why we tell y'all we only deal with the King James 1611 Bible.
Right.
Because as we started to rise up with the understanding of the scriptures, That's when the scholars said, we need to change this. Them niggas is waking up.
Yep. Now go to the etymology. No, go to type in E-S-T-E-R. E-S-T-E-R in there. This is a Tyndale Version Bible. William Tyndale was the father of the English Bible. See that? Look what it says. This is Tyndale Version. Matthew 26, verse 2. You know that after it, the days blow up some more. I can't really see that. Shall be, yeah, there's the words to put different. Shall be Esther, and Son of Man shall be delivered to be crucified. Go down. They say the white man put Easter there. It's written here dozens of times. And Tyndale was no white man. He said, go into the city unto such a man and say to him, the master saith, my time is at hand. I will keep my Easter at thy house with my disciples. After 2 days followed Easter and the days of sweet bread. So Easter and Passover were, at one point in time with William Tyndale, synonymous. Because during his time, it was Catholic Britain. They observed Christianity. They acknowledged Passover. They called it interchangeably either Passover or Easter. He knew that. He translated the Old Testament in the year 1526, and I think the New Testament in 1530. The only way he could think of for the New Testament that could fit Passover in their proper context, because Easter can be translated out of Greek into English. Astarte in Greek, and Easter in English. Okay, I'll use this word. This word people understand. If I put Easter here, they'll know I'm referring to Passover, because during his time in Britain, Easter and Passover were synonymous. You follow what I'm saying? I got to prove it now. Go to Tyndale, please. William Tyndale, Wikipedia. During his time, Christians of his time acknowledged that Easter and Passover were one and the same. So he put the word Easter there as the English translation for Passover. Y'all follow? That's why in the KJV it says rendered Passover in Acts 12:4. That's not Passover there. That's not that right there. Easter and that 12:4 is actual Easter paganism. I'm gonna prove it. Go down. It says William Tyndale was in the English. Read it real quick.
William Tyndale, sometimes spelled Tinsdale, born 1494 to 1536.
He got keep put to death. Go ahead.
Was an English scholar who became a leading figure in Protestant reform in the years leading up to his execution. He is well known for his translation of the Bible into English.
Jump down. Jump down with the point.
He was in.
No, jump down with the point. With the point. Go down to right there. Tyndale's translation.
Tinsdale's translations was the first English Bible to draw directly from Hebrew and Greek texts.
He was very fluent in, unlike these Jakes today, black Hebrew Israelites today who use concordances and Strongs, and Ben Yehuda, he actually spoke these languages fluently. So he was able to directly translate them from Hebrew and Greek texts. Go ahead.
The first English one to take advantage of the printing press.
So he took advantage. The church, Roman Catholic Church that governed Britain at the time, did not allow you to read your own. You had to teach you. You couldn't learn on your own. You couldn't read it yourself. You had to go to church and have them teach it to you. Like in church today. You sit there. He has the Bible open. He's saying God is this. And you're sitting there clapping your hands. Well, back then, the same thing. You weren't allowed to have a Bible in your hands. So he said, well, that's not fair. Why can't we read for ourselves? So he translated it out of the Latin, or out of the Greek, out of the Latin at the time, into English. So everyone can read it. And he took advantage of the printing press. That was illegal during that time to do that. Read it.
And first of the New English Bibles of the Reformation. It was taken to be a direct challenge to the hegemony of both the Roman Catholic Church and the laws of England, maintaining the church position.
So the government of England maintained the church's authority. If you did that, if you translated the Bible into English against the church's orders, you get put to death. The church ruled the state. You understand? The Roman Catholic Church, this is Roman Catholic England. They were against that. Go ahead.
In 1530, Tyndale also wrote The Practice of Prelades.
That's all I want that.
Okay.
Go down to right there, 1535.
In 1535, Tyndale was arrested and jailed in the castle of
Vilford. Or Filford, go ahead.
Filford, yes. Outside Brussels for over a year. In 1536, he was convicted of heresy and executed by strangulation.
He was hung.
After which his body was burnt at the stake.
Damn.
His dying prayer was that the King of England's eyes would be opened. This seemed to find its fulfillment just 2 years later when Henry VIII authorization of the Great Bible for the Church of England, which was largely Tyndale's own work.
Largely, but it wasn't fully because they corrupted it. Go ahead.
Hence, the Tyndale Bible, as it was known, continued to play a key role in spreading Reformation ideas across the English-speaking world and eventually to the British Empire.
Next paragraph.
In 1611, the 54 scholars who produced the King James Bible drew significantly from Tyndale, as well as from the translations that descended from his.
Watch this.
From his. One estimate suggests that the New Testament in the King James Version is 83% Tyndale's, and the Old Testament 76%.
It borrowed a lot from him. Go ahead. It borrowed. Compared, remember, it says in the Bible, compared and revised in your Bibles. Go ahead.
His translation of the Bible was the first to be printed in English.
So they call him the father of the English Bible. That's why they call him that. Go ahead.
And became a model for subsequent English translations. In 2002, Tyndale was placed at number 26 in the BBC's poll of the 100 greatest Britons.
Yes. Now, why am I going through this? Because why is Easter left in Acts 12:4? Because when Tyndale translated it, Easter was all over the Bible as another term for Passover. Oh, that's what I want. Give me Passover etymology online. I want that. That's what I wanted. The word Passover came from him. That's his term. He coined that term. The word Passover was non-existent before him. Passover came from him.
Passover. Passover, 1530. Coined by Tyndale from verbal phrase pass over. To translate Hebrew, ha-pasah.
The Passah, the Passah. Ha means the Passah. Ha-pasah, the Passover. Go ahead.
Passover. From Passah, see, Pascal.
Pascal is the Greek form.
In reference to the Lord passing over the houses over the Israelites in Egypt when he killed the firstborn of the Egyptians.
When he read, he said, okay, what sounds good? He said, angel passed over, Passover. I'll use that. And he put Passover in the Old Testament in 1530, and he translated the New Testament in 1526. And he was killed in 1535. Go to Easter, type in Easter, go into the glossary, type in Easter. Yeah, click that, see what it says. It should say the same thing. Easter. Read that.
Old English Easter Dag.
Easter Day.
Easter Day.
Easter Day. It's Easter Day. Go ahead.
From Istra, Northumbrian Eostri. Right. From Proto-Germanic Austrian, dawn.
Like astronomy.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Also the name of a goddess of fertility and spring, perhaps originally of sunrise, whose feast was celebrated at the spring equinox from Ost, just east, toward the sunrise. Compare east from pi root Ost, to shine, especially of the dawn.
Goes back to Esther, Ishtar, Astarte, Ashtoreth. It's all the same. Go to the dictionary I gave you, Harper's Dictionary. So Easter refers to a fertility goddess of the spring. But that same time, Passover was also held. So they were interchangeably observed in Christian Britain, in Catholic Britain. Read that, Christian festival.
The Christian festival that celebrates Jesus' resurrection. The name Easter derives from the Anglo-Saxon goddess of spring, Eostre or Astara.
Astara goes to Ashtoreth. Go ahead.
But the Christian festival developed from the Jewish Passover, Hebrew Pesach, Greek Pascha.
Pascha or Paschal. We read that earlier.
Yes.
So I want. So Easter is referring to a pagan fertility goddess. But in Catholic Britain, those festivals were interchangeable. Y'all follow what I'm saying? Interchangeable. Both of them were spring festivals, one acknowledging Passover, one acknowledging the spring fertility or resurrection of Christ, whatever, which is still pagan in origin. Now, go to Zonovan real quick. What you had, Officer Liam, Zonovan, about the Bible, King James Bible?
Yes, sir. Bible. This is page 86, Zonovan Bible Dictionary. King James Version. When 47 of the best Hebrew and Greek scholars of the day.
So out of those 50, what? Was it 54?
Yes, sir, 54.
47 remained diligent to doing the work. Go ahead.
47 of the best Hebrew and Greek scholars.
Thank you. 47 of the best Hebrew, because Tyndale was also a scholar and very well versed in different languages. Go ahead.
Of the best Hebrew and Greek scholars of the day were divided into 6 groups.
We're divided into 6 groups. Go ahead.
3 for the Old Testament.
Go ahead. 3 groups of the Old.
2 for the New.
Uh-huh.
And 1 for the Apocrypha.
Go ahead.
2 of the groups met at Oxford, 2 at Cambridge, and 2 at Westminster. Westminster. When a group had completed its task, its work was submitted to 12 men, 2 from each panel. Final differences of opinion was settled at a general meeting.
So this
of
took
each
time.
company.
Hold on. This work took time with scholars. Men, it was filtered, make certain it's done right. It's all written exactly the same. It was clear. You understand what I'm saying so far? Go ahead.
Final differences of opinion was settled at a general meeting of each company.
Uh-huh.
In cases of special difficulty,
If there were any difficulties regarding these scholars alone, go ahead.
learned men
who are wiser than all 47, go ahead.
Outside the board of revisers,
outside the council,
were consulted. Marginal notes were used only to explain Hebrew and Greek words to draw attention to parallel passages.
Annotations. That's in the middle of your Bible. On the middle. Go ahead.
Italics were used for words not found in the original, but necessary to complete the sense.
So that's what I want. So these men had a council. It was filtered. It took time and process. Why would they leave Easter in there by accident? It's no accident. They took Easter out. Autumn times, Tyndale had it in there. They put Passover there. Passover, all through there. But left Easter in Acts 12 and 4. Why? Let's see who got it. Why did they leave Easter in Acts 12 and 4 but take it out everywhere else? Let's see who got it. I'm asking a question. I'm not making a statement. Yes. Hand the mic. Who has the mic? Standing up. Stand up, brother. Yes. Hand the mic.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Because the word Easter and Passover were used interchangeably at the time, and the term Easter was what people understood at that particular time when it was written.
But why was it left in Acts 12 and 4 and not everywhere else?
I don't know.
Not sure. Who can get it? Pass it back there. Remember, Herod was going to wait to kill Peter after Easter.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Because that Easter wasn't the same as the Passover.
What was it?
It was the real Easter that the Christianity was celebrating.
Thank you. The Romans worshipped Easter at start. The scholars said, listen, Tyndale's right about Passover here, but that right there, he's observing Easter here. Leave that there. And they left Easter there. Remember, I showed y'all how they went through a faculty. It was time. They compared, make sure it's done right, but forgot Easter in Acts 12 and 4. It's no. It's no error. That was meant to be there because Easter was being observed by Herod. He was a Roman. The Romans worshipped at start the fertility goddess. Y'all follow?
That's why he asked you, how come it's only there?
Right, it's
and it's no place else. Every place else, it says Passover, but when you get there, it says Easter. Okay? That was a custom that they were doing at that time.
Right, that's why I showed you. That's why Tyndale put it everywhere. He put Easter here, Easter here. I showed y'all Tyndale's version. Easter here, Easter there, because that was, to them, in Roman Catholic Britain, interchangeable. But the King James Version scholar said, nah, that's going to cause confusion. Take that out, leave Passover. Use Tyndale's coin term Passover, but Easter, leave Easter in Acts 12 and 4, because Herod was observing Passover, because the Romans worshiped Passover, and Herod was an observer of the Roman customs, because he was a Roman affiliate himself. Y'all understand? So the Romans, or Herod, a Roman Edomite, they observed Astarte, which is another term for Easter. You understand? Astarte. Because Astarte can be translated into English. Easter is an English word. But Easter translated out of the Greek, Astarte, or Latin Astarte. You understand? So he used that word. Okay, I'll use Easter here, because it can translate out of Greek. New Testament is written in Greek. I'll use a word that can be translated out of Greek into English. I'll use Easter. And that's what he did in the New Testament. Old Testament, he kept Passover. New Testament, he used Easter. Because that's a Greek word that can be translated into an English word, which would be Easter, which goes to both Passover and pagan Easter. Acts 12 and 4 is actual pagan Easter. Everywhere else is Passover. So he was going to kill Peter. Remember, Passover falls around the same time. Easter falls around the same time Passover does. So he said, I'm going to kill him after I celebrate my holiday, then I'll kill Peter. The angel said, nah, you can get out of jail. Get out of jail, free card. Get out of there. Get out of there. And he got out and kept teaching. Y'all understand?
All right, let's go, we'll end it there. Let's go to Acts 12. Let's read it, and we're going to get a few precepts here to tie. So does everybody understand that? Why Easter was left in there now? It's showing the difference between us and the pagan Rome. All right? Read Acts 12, 1 through 4.
The book of Acts, chapter 12, verse 1. Now about the time Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church, and he killed James the brother of John with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Jews,
wicked Negroes,
he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread.
Then were the days of unleavened bread. Right? Now, what's the precept to show that this is talking about, that verse 3 is talking about Passover? Does anybody know? This is why we're here. Okay, let's go to it. It's Luke 22. If you don't have it right there beside it, write Luke 22, and let's read verse 1.
Luke 22 next to what?
22 verse 1, to show you what the days of unleavened bread mean.
The book of Luke, chapter 22, verse 1.
Go ahead.
Now the feast of unleavened bread drew nigh, which is called the Passover.
Unleavened bread is called what?
The
Now let's go back to Acts chapter 12, and let's read verse 3.
Acts chapter 12 and verse 3. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, he proceeded further to take Peter also. Then were the days of unleavened bread.
Then it was Passover. Go ahead.
And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people.
Intending to kill him, like Deacon said, after he celebrated his own thing. We was keeping Passover according to the lunar calendar, and the Romans and everybody else in the world was celebrating Easter according to what? What do we see in the videos? What switched on that calendar? Does anybody remember? Active listening. Let's see. Caleb, what do you got in the microphone? What switched? This is why we got to pay attention to these details. We got to study. How was the whole world observing time? And then the Romans took over, and they did something with time.
The Gregorian calendar.
Let's go to Exodus chapter 1. We're going to start at verse 1.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 1.
Going through verse to 14.
Now these are the names of the children of Israel, which came into Egypt. Every man in his household came with Jacob: Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, and Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. All the souls that came out of the loins of Jacob were 70 souls. For Joseph was in Egypt already. And Joseph died, and all his brethren, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful, and increased abundantly, and multiplied, and waxed exceedingly mighty. And the land was filled with them.
Same thing going on today. Go ahead.
Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph.
This is called the new kingdom. Go ahead.
And he said unto his people, Behold, the people of the children of Israel are more than and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land.
So the same way, this is how you know this is spiritually Egypt. The same way that Pharaoh dealt with us in Egypt, dealing wisely, the same way they dealt wisely with us. And we just saw it with the changing of the new year. April Fools put Easter around the same time as Passover. Change their nationality. All of those things is how they deal wisely with us in today's time. The same thing happened then, the same thing happening now, just a different nation. Same spirit though. Read on.
Verse 11. Therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh treasured cities, Python and Ramses.
So remember I said this is the new kingdom. So Israel was in Egypt in the 17th dynasty. We didn't come out until the 18th dynasty. So towards the end of the 17th dynasty is when we was coming out. And we came out in the 18th dynasty. Go ahead.
But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage. In mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor.
Hard bondage, right? Let's go to Exodus chapter 3. Let's read 1 through 10.
Exodus chapter 3, verse 1. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock of the backside of the desert, and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the Lord appeared unto him in the flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when the Lord saw that he turned aside to see, God called unto him out of the midst of the bush, and said, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not nigh hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place wherein thou standest is holy ground.
So basically it's saying, leave those ways. Leave the ways of the Egyptians out there. All that stuff you learned, leave it out there. Go ahead.
Moreover, he said, I am the God of thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon God. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land and large, unto land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, this cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptian oppressed them. Come now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt.
All right, let's jump down to verse 16.
Verse 16. Go and gather the elders of Israel together, and say unto them, the Lord God of your fathers, and the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you, and seen that which is done to you in Egypt.
So real quick, now when we was watching those videos, you understand why they make up all this stuff of changing the New Year's, eating noodles, making eggs, and what you call it, dumplings, all that type stuff. Because God makes sure he know I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They don't have a God to steer them, so they make up stuff so they feel, I guess you would say, important. To give them some kind of purpose in life. They make it up. They ain't got nobody guiding them. They're just making it up as they go. That's why you got all these different pagan traditions, and it changes as time goes. One thing is constant that don't change with us is these laws, statutes, and commandments, because we do have a God.
That's right.
Read verse 17.
Verse 17. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken to thy voice, and thou shalt come, thou and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt, and you shall say unto him, the Lord God of the Hebrews has met with us, and now let us go, we beseech thee, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. And I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go, no, not by a mighty hand. And I will stretch out my hand and smite Egypt with all my wonders which I will do in the midst of thereof. And after that he will let you go, and I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. And it shall come to pass that when ye go, you shall not go empty. But every woman shall borrow of her neighbor and of her that sojourneth in her house jewels and silver and jewels of gold and raiment, and you shall put them upon your sons and upon your daughters, and you shall spoil the Egyptians.
All right, so y'all see he's going to bring great judgments, right? Jump over to Exodus 4 and let's read 10 and 11.
The book of Exodus, chapter 4, verse 10. And Moses said unto the Lord, O my Lord, I am not eloquent, neither heretofore, nor since thou hast spoken unto thy servant, but I am slow of speech and of slow of tongue. And the Lord said unto him, Who hath made man's mouth? Or who maketh the dumb, or deaf, or the seeing, or the blind? Have not I the Lord?
All right, so let's go to Acts. We're going to hold our finger here. We're coming back. I want to go to Acts 7 and 22. I want to just clear up that Moses wasn't walking around stuttering.
The book of Acts, chapter 7, verse 22.
That's a common thing taught by Creflo Snakes and TD Make You Want to Holler. Acts 7:22.
And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of Egypt, of the Egyptians, and was mighty in words and in deeds.
He was mighty in what?
In words and in deeds.
So Moses could speak. He didn't have a problem stuttering. He just wasn't fluent in the Hebrew language. That's why he said, I'm not eloquent. I'm slow of speech. Where had Moses, going back to Exodus 4 now, where had Moses been for the last 40 years? Let's just do some deductive reasoning and common sense. La Wahhabia, where he been at for the last 40 years?
In the house of the pharaohs, you rose up.
You got to reread Exodus, buddy. Brother in the back, I forgot your name. Glasses.
I think it was.
What's your name?
Brother Max.
Huh?
Max. Brother Max.
Max. Okay.
Yes,
What was it?
I think it was in Egypt, right?
No. It's okay. It's good we're going over this. Who's that? Shemaiah. That's why we're going over this.
He was with his father-in-law Jethro.
Okay. Where?
Ethiopia.
No.
Africa.
Nope. Okay. Good. We're going over this. Philip, bring it home for us. Let's see. He's the details. Where was he?
Exodus 3 and 1. He was in Midian.
He was in Midian, just to sum it up. He's on the backside of the desert, y'all. Y'all brothers make it hard. He ran. He ran from one side to the other side of the desert. He's been over there for 40 years with Jethro. Okay? Obviously, he ain't talking in his native tongue. He's talking in a different language. That's why he's telling God, I'm slow of speech. I can't speak Spanish fluently. Creole. I'm over here in America for the last 40 years. So that's why he sent Aaron. So he wasn't walking around. He didn't have a problem stuttering. He just couldn't speak the language that good, right? So let's go back to Exodus chapter 4.
The book of Exodus chapter 4.
Jump up to verse 18 through 23.
Verse 18. And Moses went and returned to Jethro his father-in-law, and said unto him, Let me go, I pray thee, and return unto my brethren which are in Egypt, and see whether they be yet alive. And Jethro said to Moses, Go in peace. And the Lord said unto Moses in Midian, Go, return into Egypt, for all the men are dead which sought thy life. And Moses took his wife and his sons, and set them upon an ass, and he returned to the land of Egypt. And Moses took the rod of God in his hand. And the Lord said unto Moses, When thou goest to return into Egypt, see that thou do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in thy hand. But I will harden his heart, that he shall not let the people go. And thou shalt say unto Pharaoh, Thus says the Lord, Israel is my son, even my firstborn. And I say unto thee, let my son go, that he may serve me. And if thou refuse to let him go, behold, I will slay thy son, even thy firstborn.
All right, so we see the judgment of God. Jump over to Exodus 6. Let my people go. Let my son go.
The book of Exodus, chapter 6 and verse 1.
1 through 13.
Then the Lord said unto Moses, Now shalt thou see what I will do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand shall he let them go, and with a strong hand shall he drive them out of his land. And God spake unto Moses and said unto him, I am the Lord, and I appeared unto Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob by the name of God Almighty, but by my name, Jehovah, was I not known to him.
So that lets you know it ain't about the name. Abraham and them didn't even know God's name. Go ahead.
And I have also established my covenant with them to give them to the land of Canaan, the land of their pilgrimage, wherein they were strangers. And I have also heard the groanings of the children of Israel, which the Egyptians kept in bondage. And I have remembered my covenant. Wherefore, say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with a stretched out arm and with a great judgment. And I will take you to me for a people, and I will be to you a God. And you shall know that I am the Lord your God, which bringeth you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. And I will bring you in unto the land concerning that which I did swear to give it to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And I will give it to you for an heritage. I am the Lord. And Moses spake so unto it the children of Israel, but they hearkened not unto Moses for anguish of spirit and for cruel bondage.
So that's a lot of times people don't want to hear you because they got anguish of spirit, depressed spirits, and the cruel bondage, just beat down from working. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Go in, speak unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that he let the children of Israel go out of his land. And Moses spake before the Lord, saying, Behold, the children of Israel have not hearkened unto me. How then shall Pharaoh hear me? And who am of uncircumcised lips? And the Lord spake unto Moses unto Aaron, and gave them a charge unto the children of Israel, and unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
Uncircumcised lips, I'm not of his people. Why is he going to listen to me to let them go? I'm not of his people, right? Now it says Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Who was the Pharaoh that was ruling over us when we left out? Let's see who knows. These are the details we got to know. Who was the Pharaoh? Because we always read Pharaoh, Pharaoh, Pharaoh. What was his name? God said Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Was that his name? What's his name? Okay, Joshua, what you got?
Was it Ramses?
Ramses. Let's go to Numbers 33. Let's read 1 through 3 to see the name of the Pharaoh that ruled over us when we left out of Egypt.
The book of Numbers, chapter 33, verse 1. These are the journeys of the children of Israel, which went forth out of the land of Egypt with their armies.
With our what?
With their armies.
That's what God sees us as armies. Go ahead.
Under the hand of Moses and Aaron. And Moses wrote their goings out according to their journeys by the commandment of the Lord. And these are their journeys according to their goings out. And they departed from Ramses in the first month.
They departed from what?
From Ramses in the first month. On the 15th day of the first month, on the morrow after the Passover, the children of Israel went out with an high hand in the sight of all the Egyptians.
All right, so we left out of from Ramesses. All right, so let's go back to Exodus. Let's go to chapter 7. Exodus 7, and let's read 1 through 7.
The book of Exodus, chapter 7 and verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet.
So God he's letting you know you're a God on earth, right? You got the power to change nature. Go ahead.
Thou shalt speak all that I command thee, and Aaron thy brother shall speak unto Pharaoh.
Because he wasn't eloquent in words. Go ahead.
That he send the children of Israel out of his land. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. But Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that I may lay my hand upon Egypt and bring forth my armies and my people, that the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by great judgment.
Great judgments. Go ahead.
And the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I stretch forth my hand upon Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them. And Moses and Aaron did as the Lord commanded them. So did they. And Moses was 80 years old.
80 years old.
And Aaron 83 years old.
83 years old.
When they spake unto Pharaoh.
So that lets you know you're never too old to do the work of God. Moses was 80 and something. Abraham was 99 years old when he called him. So age is not an excuse, right? Give me those pictures. Give me the pictures that I put up on there. Yeah, let's start with that one. All right, so we ain't gonna read through all of them for time constraints, but we'll go through them. So this first one here is the plague of blood, right? And this picture is drawn by our very own Officer Pagiel, who's at camp right now. But it's the plague of blood. And you got Moses up top, and he drew an image of Aaron on the bottom. I'll post these pictures. A lot of y'all ain't got these. Is years old, but they still nice. Pagiel got skills, man. Next one. Okay, so this is drawn by, this is painted, I think. Yeah, this is hand painted. I think it's by a brother named Gad in New York. It's the plague of frogs. The second plague is the plague of frogs. Because the Most High hit him with 10 plagues. The second one was the plague of frogs. Go ahead. The third one was a plague of lice. It was the plague of lice. See right there. Next one. The next one there, the fourth plague was the plague of flies. Get some details on that here a little bit soon, Lord's will. Next one. We got the plague of cattle, disease. And you can read all of this when you go back and read the details of the Exodus of what God did. All right. Next one. We got the plague of boils. It was a brother out of Houston. I think his name's Officer Ram. Did this one. So that's Aaron and Moses again, sprinkling the dust into the air, and it became boils on the Egyptian skin. Next one. All right, so this is the plague of hail, right? Let's go into that one. I want to go into the plague of hail, right? Go to Exodus 9. I'm going to show you something about that hail. Exodus chapter 9, and let's read 13 through 29.
The book of Exodus, chapter 9, verse 13. And the Lord said unto Moses, Rise up early in the morning, and stand before Pharaoh, and say unto him, Thus says the Lord God of the Hebrews, Let my people go, that they may serve me. For I will at this time send all my plagues upon thine heart, and upon thy servants, and upon thy people, that thou mayest know that there is none like me in all the earth.
There's none like me. Go ahead.
For now I will stretch out my hand, that I may smite thee and thy people with a pestilence, and thou shalt be cut off from the earth. And in a very deed for this cause have I raised thee up, for to show it in thee my power, and that my name may be declared throughout all the earth.
That's the same reason that America, Babylon the Great, is the most powerful nation. So when Christ come back, everybody gonna know his name. Go ahead, verse 17.
As yet exaltest thou thyself against my people, that thou will not let them go. Behold, tomorrow about this time I will cause it to rain a very grievous hail, such as not has been done in Egypt since the foundation of thereof even until now. Send therefore now and gather thy cattle and all that thou hast in the field, for upon every man and beast which shall be found in the field and shall not be brought home, the hail shall come down upon them, and they shall die. He that feared the word of the Lord among the servants of Pharaoh made his servants and his cattle flee into the houses. And he that regarded not the word of the Lord left his servants and his cattle in the field. And the Lord said unto Moses, Stretch forth thy hand toward heaven, and there may be hail in all the land of Egypt, upon man and upon beast, and upon every herb of the field throughout the land of Egypt. And Moses stretched forth his rod toward heaven, and the Lord sent thunder and hail, and the fire rained along upon the ground, and the Lord rained hail upon the land of Egypt. So there was hail and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there was none like in
hail and fire. Go ahead.
Very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation.
So a lot of times, a lot of people like to discount God because he don't show himself. That's why Pharaoh said, go back to read Exodus 5, and I want you to read verse 2 real quick.
Exodus chapter 5, verse 2. And Pharaoh said, Who is the Lord? that I should obey his voice to let Israel go. I know not the Lord, neither will I let Israel go.
Because God ain't revealed himself to everybody on the earth. He only revealed himself to us. That's why we the only people that know him. And that's why today's time, like, God ain't real. That Bible's made up, this, that, and other. Because it's only a few times that God actually revealed his power on the people on earth, and then he's gone. Because if he stayed here revealing his power, what's he going to do? He'll end up destroying us. That's why when he comes back, it says in the prophets that Christ's going to have to hold back his power when he comes. That's why a lot of people like, this Bible's made up, God ain't real, we got all these different gods, Buddha, you can worship who you want to, but wait till he show up on the scene again. When he show up on the scene again, you can be like, oh, we done messed up now. And it's too late. Read, let's go back to read verse 24 again, 9 and 24.
The book of Exodus, chapter 9, verse 24. So there was hail and fire mingled with the hail, very grievous, such as there was none like it in all the land of Egypt since it became a nation.
So nobody knows God. No, God had never revealed himself or showed himself on the earth until it was time to deliver his people. Right? Read on.
And the hail smote there throughout all the land of Egypt, all that was in the field, both man and beast. And the hail smote every herb of the field, and brake every tree of the field. Only in the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel were, was there no hail.
So we got hail coming down, right? It's coming down, tearing everything up. Now read verse 27 on down.
And Pharaoh sent and called for Moses and Aaron.
So he sent and called for Moses because they was in Goshen. Wasn't nothing happening in Goshen. They was in Goshen. Come meet with me, y'all. Go ahead.
And said unto them, I have sinned this time. The Lord is righteous, and I and my people are wicked.
We wicked as hell. Go ahead.
Entreat the Lord, for it is enough that there be no more mighty thunderings and hail, and I will let you go, and you shall stay no longer.
Read on.
And Moses said unto him, as soon as I am gone out of the city.
So now he's talking to Pharaoh face to face. Where was Moses at first? In the land of Goshen, right? He had to go get Moses and Aaron. So now he's talking to Pharaoh, Ramesses, face to face. Read 29 again.
And Moses said unto him, as soon as I am gone out of the city, I will spread abroad my hands upon the Lord, and the thunder shall cease, neither shall there be any more hail, that thou mayest know how that the earth is the Lord's.
Jump down to verse 33.
Verse 33. And Moses went out of the city from Pharaoh, and spread abroad his hands unto the Lord, and the thunders and hail ceased, and the rain was not poured upon the earth.
So what happened in this whole time? He went, called for him, he came, talked to him, then he went back to where he was going. Paint the picture for me of what just happened. Lawa Hobby, let's see if you got it. Let's see.
So, Moses, after he finished talking to Ramses, he walked through the hill back to Goshen, to where the Israelites were at.
Yeah, so basically what was happening, God didn't just stop it from pouring down on the Egyptians. Moses walked through that thing and nothing touched him. It's like a force field is around Moses as he walks in and walks out. Can you imagine what the people that actually ran in the house and took the cattle in there? They looking out the windows and Moses as is walking through the fire and the hail and nothing's touching him. Him and Aaron. That's another level. That lets you know that God is in the heavens with all the angels pinpointing as he's throwing hail from the heavens.
Sharpshooter.
Sharpshooter. Don't throw it right there because that's my prophets right there. Make it go all around them and hit everything else. That's what I said. And we're gonna read it. Let's see. Go to Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon. And I want to read 16. Let's read 13 through 26. The book of Solomon expounded on that thing, how great of a sight it was. And that's the same that's going to happen again. That what did the Most High say? He said in Psalms 91. Can somebody summarize that? What's going to happen again in Psalm 91? Like him. What's going to happen? Get on the microphone.
Thousands shall fall to the left
10,000 to the right.
Right. It's going to be dead people falling to the left and the right. Everything going to be destroyed around you. You're going to see it go up in flames, and it ain't going to touch you. The same thing that happened to Daniel and them in the lion's den, in the fiery furnace. God got power over all of that stuff. And he said, when it's time to deliver you, none of it's going to touch you. That's going to be a sight to see. Lord's will, we make it through that thing. Wisdom of Solomon 16. Let's read where I want to start at. 13 through 26.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16, verse 13. For thou hast power of life and death. Thou leadest to the gates of hell and bringest up again. A man indeed killeth through his malice, and the spirit, when it is gone forth, returneth not. Neither the soul receiveth up, cometh again.
So nobody, once the Lord passed judgment on you, nobody can bring you back to life. I know you heard those stories of, I was on my hospital bed and I flatlined, I died and came back to life. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. God just stopped your heart for a little bit. But once he says you've done. Nobody can bring you back. Verse 15.
But it is not possible to escape thine hand, for the ungodly that denied to know thee.
Who denied to know the Most High? We just read it before we got here. Just said, Philip, who was it? Pharaoh. He said, who is the Lord? I know not the Lord. He didn't want to know him. Till God laid his hand on him. Then I and my people is wicked. Leave. Read on.
Were scourged by the stretch of thy arm.
The strength of thy arm.
And the strange rains, hails, and showers were they persecuted, that they could not avoid. And through fire were they not consumed.
Were they consumed?
Were they consumed?
Go ahead.
For which is most to be wondered at?
Most to be wondered at. How did this happen? Go ahead.
The fire had more force in the water that quenches all things.
So it said the fire had more power. Because water is usually used to do what? Put out fires. Right? But it didn't happen when the hail came down, it didn't happen. Read 17 again.
Verse 17. For which is most to be wondered at? The fire had more force in the water that quenches all things. For the world fighteth for the righteous.
The world fights for the righteous. So, who's seen that movie, Avatar? Everybody seen the movie Avatar by show of hands? All they do. I think his name's James Cameron. All he did was take the Bible and put it in a little blue people form. It happened when all odds was against them in that video. What happened? Does anybody know? Philip, what was it? What happened? Because this is what they do. They take the Bible and put it in movie form. Joshua. Come on here, same thing.
Like all the nature and the animals came together.
You ready? Watch your flag. Closing fast.
all the nature and the animals came out of nowhere and started fighting for him. Ain't that what we saw in some of the plagues? The flies, the locusts, the frogs, the lice, all of that stuff came out. The daggone, even nature said we're going to get hit. The daggone sun started fighting for us. Blacked out for 3 days. Right? Let's go back to verse 18. Wisdom of Psalm 16, let's read verse 18. The world fighteth for the righteous. Verse 18.
For sometime the flame was mitigated, that it might not burn up the beasts that were sent against the ungodly, but themselves might see and perceive that they were persecuted with the judgment of God.
He wanted them to know this is me. Go ahead.
And at another time it burned even in the midst of water, above the power of fire, that it might destroy the fruits of the unjust land. Instead whereof thou feddest thy own people with angels' food, and didst send them from heaven bread prepared without their labor, able to content every man's delight, and agreeing to every taste.
So that's what we was eating. That manna was angels' food. Go ahead.
For thy sustenance declared thy sweetness unto thy children, and serving to the appetite of the eater, tempered itself to every man's liking.
So whatever you wanted it to taste like, God made it taste like it in your mind. Go ahead.
But snow and ice endured the fire.
Snow and ice endured the fire, meaning it didn't melt. Go ahead.
And melted not, that they might know the fire burning in the hell, and sparkling in the rain, did destroy the fruits of the enemies. But this again did even forget his own strength, that the righteous might be
nourished.
Go
ahead.
For the creature that serveth thee, who art the maker, increaseth his strength against the unrighteous for their punishment, and abated his strength for the benefit of such as put their trust in thee. Therefore even then was it altered into all fashions, and was obedient to thy grace.
Because normally you put water on fire, it goes out. But this water didn't put out the fire. It said, come on, join me from the heavens. Let's go down and do God's work. Just fight for the righteous. Go ahead.
That nourisheth all things, according to the desire of them that had need. That thy children, O Lord, whom thou lovest, might know that it is not the growing of fruits that nourisheth men, but that it is thy word, which preserveth them that put their trust in thee.
That put their trust in thee. So that's the details. Solomon's explaining the details of what happened with the hail. Because it just says it hailed and that was it. And it destroyed everything. He's giving you the details of how the water, the fire and the water mingled together and it didn't cancel out each other. Unheard of on the earth before, right? Go to the next picture now. Let's see this. Next plague, right? So it's the plague of the locusts, right? We got the plague of the locusts. Go ahead. And then we got that great darkness, right? Let's go to Exodus chapter 10, 21. There we go. 21 through 23.
Exodus chapter 10, verse 21. And the Lord said unto Moses, stretch out thy hand toward heaven, that there may be darkness over the land of Egypt, even darkness which may be felt. And Moses stretched forth his hand towards heaven, and there was a thick darkness in all the land of Egypt 3 days. They saw not one another, neither rose any from his place for 3 days. But all the children of Israel had light in their dwellings.
Okay, so now you see the picture I put up there where it's great darkness. One side of that sun is blocked out, and then there's light behind it on the other side. It said it was dark on one side, the children of Israel had light. Go back to Wisdom of Solomon. Let's read 17 to get the details, because it's just 2 verses right there. 3 days it was dark, it could be felt. Here's the details of what was happening in that darkness. Wisdom of Solomon 17, let's read 1 on down.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 17, verse 1. For great are thy judgments, and cannot be expressed. Therefore, unnurtured souls have erred. For when unrighteous men thought to oppress the holy nation, they being shut up in their houses, the prisoners of darkness, and fettered with the bonds of long night.
Of a long night. It was 3 days, so it was like it never ended. Go ahead.
Lay there exiled from the eternal providence. For while they supposed to lie hid in their secret sins, they were scattered under a dark veil of forgetfulness, being horribly astonished and troubled with strange
apparitions. So they started seeing ghosts. Go ahead.
For neither might the corner that held them kept them from fear.
So they try to run into a corner to hide from whatever they were seeing. It didn't work. Go ahead.
But noises as of waters falling down sounded about them, and sad visions appeared unto them with heavy countenance.
So they in a house in a corner, but you hear water running. Now remember, they ain't had no faucets and no sinks now, but they hear water running, and they see ghosts walking around with sad countenances. Right? Go ahead.
No power of the fire might give them light.
So that means they lit a fire, it would automatically go out. It would blow out. Right? Go ahead.
Neither could they bright flames of the stars endure to lighten that horrible night.
So only God did not just blot out the sun, he blotted out the stars also. So that's why I said thick darkness that could be felt. There's no light on their side of the earth at all. Go ahead.
Only there appeared unto them a fire kindled of itself.
So a fire comes out of nowhere that they didn't like. Go ahead.
Very dreadful. For being much terrified, they thought the things which they saw to be worse than the sight they saw not.
Go ahead.
As for the illusion of art magic, they were put down.
So they tried to emulate this themselves. Go ahead.
And their vaunting in wisdom was reproved with disgrace.
They couldn't do it.
For they that promised to drive away terrors and troubles from a sick soul.
Come here, we'll cast a spell on you and it'll all be gone. Go ahead.
Were sick themselves of fear, worthy to be laughed at.
So they was going out their mind also with fear. Go ahead.
For though no terrible thing did fear them, yet being scared with beasts that pass by and hissing of serpents.
So it really wasn't anything there. What is God doing? He's playing tricks on their mind. He's making them see things that ain't really there. Go ahead.
They died for fear.
They did what?
They died for fear.
They gave up the ghost. Heart just stopped. Too much. Go ahead.
Denying that they saw the air, which could of no side be avoided.
No, I didn't really just see that. I didn't see what I saw. Go ahead.
For wickedness condemned by her own witness, it is very timorous, and being pressed with conscience, always forecasted grievous things.
So what it's saying is that if you involved in wickedness, whatever that wickedness is, God gonna heighten that thing 10 times more. You afraid of dogs? Well, God's gonna bring the worst kind of dog ever and put it in your mind. Go ahead, Kat.
Even now, you see, who's the number one person doing videos about when animals attack or been abducted by aliens, been sodomized by aliens? It's the Most High sending it right there in that same fear he used to send to the Egyptians. He's doing it again to the nations.
Yep. He's preparing them for that time to come back. That's why he's going to kill a lot of people. Some of them going to die just off of thoughts. So it says when you wicked, God forecasted that thing to be more grievous than it really is. Go ahead, verse 12.
For fear is nothing else but a betraying of a succors which reason offereth.
So when in your mind you picture a dog, you know what dogs look like. Okay, you know some of them might bite. You know what if you picture a pit bull. Everybody knows, all Israel know what pit bulls are. You know, you picture your own pit bull. You know what that thing looks like. But if a pit bull come in here that's damn 250 pounds, standing 6 feet tall on both his hind legs and look like a lion, you gonna take off running. I don't care what nobody say. If a damn pit bull lion come through that front door, everybody's going out that back door. Me included. I'm gone. Because by mind, I know what a pit bull look like. But they come in here looking like a lion, barking, we all gone. Some of us might not make it. Some of us might just give up the gun. Lord, let him take me. Play dead right there. All right, so that's what fear is, right? Verse 13.
Verse 13. And the expectation for from within, being less, counted the ignorance more than the cause which bringeth the torment.
So you make it more than what it really is. Go ahead.
But they sleeping the same sleep that night, which was indeed intolerable.
They couldn't go to sleep, tossing and turning.
And which came upon them out of the bottoms of inevitable hell.
So you know how it is when you're afraid, you be like, I'm just going to go sleep. Try to go sleep, force yourself to go sleep, God wouldn't do it. He wouldn't let it happen. You got hissing serpents, you got water coming out of nowhere, you got ghosts tapping you on the shoulder, wake up. All right, verse 15.
Were partly vexed with monstrous apparitions.
Now you got so in these 3 days, he got ghosts walking around that look all sad, and then on top of that, he got ghosts walking around looking like monsters. Whatever that might be. I don't even know the mind of what God would think would become a monstrous apparition. Go ahead.
And partly fainted.
So they partly fainted.
Their heart failing them.
They died. Go ahead.
For a sudden fear and not looked for came upon them.
It snuck up on them. Out of nowhere. When they sitting here, they listening for the hissing snake, and then here comes the monstrous apparition, tap them on the shoulder. What you looking at? You pass out. Right? I would do that. Scare the hell out of me. Y'all be scared somebody sneak up on you. How you scared of him? All right, so verse, where we at, 16?
So then whosoever there fell down was straitly kept, shut up in the prison without iron bars.
What's the prison without iron bars, brothers? The mind. That's the mind. The prison without iron bars. Go ahead.
For whether he were a husbandman or shepherd, or a laborer in the field, he was overtaken and endured that necessity which could not be avoided. For they were all bound with one chain of darkness. Whether it were a whistling wind or a...
You see the detail that Solomon is giving you of the stuff that happened in those 3 days of darkness? A whistling wind. Go ahead.
Or a melodious noise of birds among the spreading branches.
Birds chirping in your house. Go ahead.
Or a pleasing fall of water running violently. Or a terrible sound of stones cast down.
So you got a daggone waterfall in your house. Go ahead.
Or a running that could not be seen, or skipping beasts.
A skipping beast. So you got lions and hyenas running through that thing laughing. Go ahead.
Or a roaring voice, most savage wild beast.
A roaring voice, so that's a lion roaring. Go ahead.
Or a rebounding echo from a howling mountain.
You got echoes in your house. Go ahead.
These things make them to swoon for fear.
And this is all happening at the same time for 3 days straight. Go ahead.
For the whole world shined with clear light, and none were hindered in their labor. Over them only was spread an heavy night, an image of that darkness which should afterwards receive them, but yet were they unto themselves more grievous than the darkness.
So God made sure that he tortured them for 3 days before he killed them. That's what was happening during the darkness, right? The great darkness. Go to the next plague. Let's see what we got up here. The last plague. I had to take a picture of this one because we didn't draw this, and they won't let me put it up in the kids' corner. It said give the kids nightmares. Y'all kids need to see this. God says that. I'm going to read it too, if we get to it. A sister drew this for Passover. I think it was a brother. No, it was the brother Melchizedek Ephraim in D.C. I believe he drew this one. This is the 10th and final plague, the death of the firstborn. All right? Let's see. What I got on that one right here? Let's go back to Exodus. Now let's read in Exodus 11 and 1.
The book of Exodus, chapter 11, verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, Yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. Afterwards he will let you go hence. When he shall let you go, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether.
Okay, jump down to verse 4.
Verse 4. And Moses said, Thus says the Lord, About midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt, and all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the manservant that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn of beasts. And there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it any more. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue, against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
So if you ever want to explain how from the jump God ain't never loved everybody, read Exodus chapter 11. He was killing firstborn children, right? Let's go to Exodus 12. Let's read 29.
Exodus chapter
29.
12,
Go ahead.
verse 29. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle.
All the Egyptians got it. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians. And there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, Rise up, and get ye forth from among thy people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also.
No, you ain't getting no blessing. Go ahead.
And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste. For they said, We be all dead men.
We be all dead men if we keep them amongst us. Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. Let's go to 18 now. Wisdom of Solomon 18. Now let me read this. I'm going to read quick. Give you a break here. I'm going to read quick of the details of the death of the firstborn. So Wisdom of Solomon chapter 18. Nevertheless, thy saints had a very great light, whose voice they hearing and not seeing their shape, because they also had not suffered the same things, they counted them happy. But for that they did not hurt them now, of whom they had been wronged before, they thanked them and besought them pardon for that they had been enemies. Instead whereof thou gavest them a burning pillar of fire, both to be a guide of the unknown journey and an harmless son to entertain them honorably. For they were worthy to be deprived of light, and imprisoned in darkness, who had kept thy son shut up, by whom the uncorrupt light of the law was to be given unto the world. And when they had determined to slay the babes of the saints, one child being cast forth and saved to reprove them, thou tookest away the multitude of their children, and destroyedst them altogether in a mighty water. Of that night whereof our fathers certified afore, that assuredly know unto what oaths they had given credence, they might afterwards be of good cheer. So of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies. So you cannot take Becky with you. If you want to get up out of bondage, they not going. That's just how God is letting you know. If you want to be saved, the righteous, then the destruction of the enemies has to come. Verse 8. For wherewith thou didst punish our adversaries, by the same thou didst glorify us, whom thou hadst called. For the righteous children of good men did sacrifice secretly, and with one consent made a holy law, that the saints should be alike partakers of the same good and evil. The fathers now singing out of the songs of praise. But on the other side there sounded an ill-according cry of the enemy. So while we over there living it up, chilling, on the other side we hear screams coming. Death. Verse 10. But on the other side there sounded an ill-according cry of the enemies. And a lamentable noise was carried abroad for children that were bewailed. The master and the servant were punished after one manner, and like as the king so suffered the common person. So they all together had innumerable dead with one kind of death. Neither were the living sufficient to bury them. It's so many dead people they couldn't even bury all of them. Whew. For in one moment the noblest offspring of them was destroyed. For whereas they would not believe anything by reason of the enchantments upon the destruction of the firstborn, they acknowledged this people to be the sons of God. For while all things were in quiet silence, and that night was in the midst of her swift course, everything's going as plain, as normal, right? It's going through time, you sleep. Thine almighty word leaped down from heaven out of the royal throne, as a fierce man of war into the midst of a land of destruction, and brought thy unfeigned commandment as a sharp sword, and standing up filled all things with death, and it touched the heaven, but it stood upon the earth. Who was it that jumped off the throne from heaven and came down and started killing, brothers? It was Christ. I'll read it again. Verse 15. Thine almighty word. What does it say in John chapter 1? The what? The word was what? Made flesh. Thine almighty word leaped down from heaven out of thy royal throne as a fierce man of war into the midst of a land of destruction, and brought thine unfeigned commandment as a sharp sword, and standing up filled all things with death, and it touched the heaven, but it stood upon the earth. Then suddenly visions of horrible dreams troubled them sore, and terrors came upon them unlooked for. And one thrown here and another there, half dead, showed the cause of death. For the dreams that troubled them did foreshow this, lest they should perish and not know why they were afflicted. Christ came off the throne of heaven and killed all the firstborn with dreams. He showed up in their thoughts while they were asleep, killed them. And the thing is, it says, for the dreams that troubled them did foreshow this, lest they should perish and not know why they were afflicted. He wanted them to know why he was killing them. You're going to die because of this. Swing in his dreams. Dead. That's cold blood right there. That's that dream, you know, that dream you be having where you like you falling and you will wake right up before it happened. That didn't happen with them. that didn't happen.
The real Freddy Krueger.
The real Freddy Krueger. Christ was the real Freddy Krueger first.
Told you they get it from our book.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, let me see where I'm going to stop at. I'm going to stop at verse 19. Okay, so we see how that death of the firstborn, it was through dreams, and that was Christ that was killing them. And we'll go over that next week to prove that too. Paul let you know that was Christ that did that. So let's go to Exodus 12. We almost finished here. In their dreams, he killed them. And he wanted to know why. He wanted to know why he was killing them. Exodus chapter 12, let's read verse 1 and 2. You back on...
Okay. Exodus chapter 12, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
What's the name of that month, brothers? Who knows? Let's see. Lakim, what is the name of the first month to us? Huh? No. What's the name of what does he call the first month? Not how we tell what the first month is. What does he call the name of the first month? Like the first month here in Babylon is called January. So what's the name of the first month to us? What's it really called? No? Okay. Shemaiah, right next to him.
The month of Abib.
The month
16:1.
of Abib. Right. Let's go Exodus 13. Even closer. Exodus 13, verse 4.
The book of Exodus, chapter 13, verse 4. This day came ye out in the month Abib.
The month Abib. That's the name of the first month that God gave you. So going back to Exodus 12. Okay, pull the definition of what Abib means. And let's jump down to verse, where I want to go. Verse 8.
Exodus chapter 12 and verse 8.
Read it whenever you get that definition. Go ahead.
And they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
So your lamb is not to be baked. Okay, I want y'all to know that. For some health crazies out there. God says, do not bake it. You got to grill the lamb. Throw it on a grill, okay? You shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire. And unleavened bread with bitter herbs they shall eat. Go ahead.
Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire.
But roast with fire. You consider that grilled now. Go ahead.
his head with his legs, and with the prudence, pertinence thereof. Okay, I got the definition.
Okay, go ahead.
The book of Bible Dictionary.
What does a bib mean?
The excellent name for the first month of the year.
Pre-existing name.
For the first month of the year. After the exile, the name was changed to Nisan. It fell about the time of our march, and early April.
So it fell between March and early April. Abib, the real New Year, right? All right. So let's go back to Exodus chapter 12, verse 10. Let's read verse 10.
And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire.
So when the Passover happens at evening, you are supposed to eat all of the lamb that you have, all the bitter herb, and all the unleavened bread. When you decide to leave, you got to now throw it in the trash. It's done. Because you are rehearsing the righteous acts of what happened when it said when God killed the firstborn of all the Egyptians. What did Moses do? I mean, what did Pharaoh do? What did Ramesses do? Did he say, y'all got about 10 days to evict y'all, pack up all y'all stuff, and y'all can go and leave quietly? What did he do? Let's see. Philip, what did he do?
He kicked them out. They had to leave in haste.
Yeah, instant eviction. So it's the same thing. He said, when you eating this lamb, the next morning come to remember what happened, you got to throw it away because you had to leave in haste. I want you to remember that, what happened. All right, jump up to verse 14.
Verse 14. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial.
A memorial. Go ahead.
And you shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. You shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
So God wants you to remember how he destroyed a whole nother nation for you. That ain't the all-loving God that they paint right now. He wants you to remember he killed some people's kids for you. He wants you to remember that forever. Verse 15.
7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread.
All right, now we're getting into the ordinances of Passover. 7 days eat that unleavened bread. So brothers that don't know how to make unleavened bread, you better Google something. Right. You got YouTube videos, learn how to make that thing. Get your wife on it, something. What I did, my first one was I Googled it. I ate those nasty little Edomite crackers. Matzah, whatever it was. Disgusting. It was disgusting. But all praises. Got some unleavened bread now. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Read on.
Even the first day you shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day unto the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
So you need to check your ingredients on the stuff that's in your house to see if it's got yeast in it. It's got leaven in it. The names, sodium bicarbonate, whatever it might be. Check it and make sure it don't have any form of leaven in it. If it does, throw it out. The first time I did it, I had to toss a lot of stuff. It ain't nothing but bread. Yeah, I can get it. You get the cheap bread at 99 cents. That's when I was single. But I threw it out. I was trying to keep the commandments of the Lord the best that I can, right? Now, I didn't know. Now, for you that think you only have to eat unleavened bread, no, you have to eat it once every day, okay? Verse 16.
And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation. And
because I know that question is going to come. Do we have to eat unleavened bread all week long? That's the only thing we can eat? No, just got to eat one piece. And we'll get it here in a second. Eat one piece of unleavened bread before the sun goes down every day. Read on.
And in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation
so
to
the
you.
First day is a Sabbath and the last day of the Sabbath because it's a week-long celebration. Go ahead.
No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
So you're not supposed to work on the first day and the last day, but the 5 days in between that, you can work. So the first day is a Sabbath and the last day is a Sabbath. So you work in between those. Read on.
And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread. For in this same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall you observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even.
So we just had our new moon, our new year, and from that time now we counting 14 days from that. Go ahead.
You shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land.
Read on.
You shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations shall you eat unleavened bread.
So I want to go to 1 Corinthians real quick to show you what that leaven represents. Right? 1 Corinthians chapter 5. Let's go to it. Let's start at verse 6.
1 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 6. Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump?
A little sin will ruin you. Go ahead.
Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as you are unleavened. For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us. Therefore let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice.
Malice, sin.
And wickedness.
All manner of sin. Go ahead.
But with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth.
So go back to Exodus. So what God is equating that unleavened bread to is you leaving sin. You coming out of the ways of your bondage, your oppression. Okay, because when we was in Egypt, we did eat freely. Some of us wanted to go back when we got into the wilderness and let me go back to Egypt. I remember when I ate the leeks and the garlic and the onions freely, but you was in all manner of sin, worshiping all manner of gods, the frog god, the crocodile god, the fly god, the sun god, but you was living good. So that unleavened bread is to represent you departing from sin. Right? All right, jump up to verse 43.
Exodus chapter 12, verse 43. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof. But every man...
Read verse 43 again.
And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, this is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof.
So you can't be inviting in other nations to come keep Passover with you. It ain't for them. Go ahead.
But every man's servant that is brought for money.
You ain't got no servants right now. Go ahead.
When thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof.
So you can't invite in other nations to keep the deliverance, the independence of Israel. It's only for us. It ain't for all nations. Jump over to Exodus chapter 13 and let's read verse, let's start at 1. We got some time. Let's read.
Exodus chapter 13, verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever opened the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine.
So the Lord said, I want the first of everything. It's the best considered, it's best to him. Go ahead.
And Moses said unto the people, remember this day in which ye came out from Egypt, out of the house of bondage. For by strength of a hand the Lord brought you out from his place. There shall no leavened bread be eaten.
So God is very particular. Don't have no leaven in that house that you can eat. He's not talking about other products. He's talking about food. Go ahead.
This day came ye out in the month of Abib. And it shall be when the Lord shall bring thee into the land of the Canaanites and the Hittites and the Amorites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, which he sware unto thy fathers to give thee, a land flowing with milk and honey.
Great vegetation. Go ahead.
That thou shalt keep this service in this month. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread. And in the 7th day shall be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days. And there shall no leavened bread be seen with thee. Neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters.
God know his people. He know that you can hear it and it'll go in one ear and out the other and you'll go get some leavened bread. He repeated it at least 4, 5, 6 times within 2 chapters. No leaven, no leaven, no leaven, because he know we're forgetful people. So God is very particular. No leaven in that house. Make sure you go a fine-tooth comb, the toaster. If it don't open up where you can clean out the bottom, throw it away. Ain't nothing but a toaster. Go get another one. Microwave, clean that thing out. The crumbs in your car, you got kids. Get down in them cracks. Get down in them cracks. Look up under the seat. Might be some crumbs up under there you ain't never seen. Verse 8.
And thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, this is done because of that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt. And it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thy hand, and for a memorial between thy eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. For with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt. Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his seasons from year to year.
Jump over to verse 14.
Verse 14. And it shall be when thy son asketh thee in time. And it shall be when thy son asketh thee in the time to come.
So what does that mean? The brother raises his hand. Tell me, what does that mean? Your son asks you in time to come. What does that mean? Lemuel in the back.
Shalom, leadership. Shalom. When you're raising up your children and keeping the commandments and the law.
Okay. You close. So there's something else I want on here. Joshua. What does that mean?
When he gets old enough to ask, what is it we keep doing every single year?
Okay. All right. You close too. Aaron, up front. Y'all close. Y'all close.
That we should teach them to.
You're supposed to be teaching them. Yeah. And when he come into the age of reasoning, he'll ask, why do we do this? Because you've already been teaching him what to do. He's just doing it because you his parent. But when he get old enough, reason's going to come and he'll be asked, why do we do this? Right? Now go to Psalm chapter 78. Psalm 78. Let's show you that. Psalm 78. Let's read verse. Let's read verse. Start at 1.
Psalms chapter 78, verse 1. Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which ye have heard and known, and our fathers have told us.
Our fathers have told us. Go ahead.
We will not hide them from their children.
You ain't supposed to hide the plagues that the Most High put on put on Egypt. That 10th plague where he wiped out all the firstborn, let your sons and daughters know what God did. Don't try to shelter them. Go ahead.
Showing to the generation to come the praises of the Lord, and his strength and his wonderful works that he hath done. For he established a testimony in Jacob, and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children.
It's a commandment to make them known to your children. That's the troubles of education. Hence, you can't be lazy parents. Read on.
That the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children.
So you plan on having kids, get ready to be a teacher, because it's commanded of you to teach your kids. Go ahead.
That they might set their hope in God, and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments, and might not be as their fathers.
As their fathers. How was their fathers? Read on.
A stubborn and rebellious generation.
That's how all of us was till God called us. I pray some of us is letting that spirit go now. But we was a stubborn and rebellious generation, and still are as a people. Go ahead.
A generation that set not their heart aright, and whose spirit was not steadfast with God.
So going back to that Exodus 13:14. So the only way we're going to break the cycle and eventually get up out of here and keep building as a nation is we are going to have to instill these things into our children so when they get old, they do not depart from it. Read that verse 14.
Exodus 13, verse 14. And it shall be when thy son asketh thee in time to come,
or your daughter,
saying, what is this? That thou shalt say unto him, by strength of hand the Lord brought us out from Egypt, from the house of bondage. And it came to pass, when Pharaoh would hardly let us go, that the Lord slew all the firstborn in the land of Egypt.
So look at this, guys. You're supposed to be telling your son and your daughter that he killed all their kids so he can let us go. Make sure they know that so they don't grow up soft. Go ahead.
Both the firstborn of man and the firstborn of beast, Therefore I sacrifice to the Lord all that openeth the matrix, being males, but all the firstborn of my children I redeem.
I redeem. So we'll stop there, and Lord's will, life lasts. Next Sabbath, we'll go into the new covenant of the Passover, how it's supposed to be kept now. But just so you get the understanding of the independence of Israel, this is our real Independence Day that we supposed to celebrate. Like America got 4th of July. You know that? We got ours. President's Day, we got ours. It's called Passover.
The treatment of God. We are not black men, we are the Israelites. Take care of us. And our children too. And our children too. We have repented. We have repented. How are you? People want to know, who's the king?
O nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father. O nation of Israel, it's time to return to the Father.
Now why they trying to make it so hard to serve God? And why when I say that I'm a Jew it sound odd? For years I've been walking around saying that I'm a black man. I ain't saying that no more, it sounds wrong, man.
This is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. Please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Stay up to date with our latest events, music, and classroom lessons. IUIC plans to continue visiting different countries where this gospel has not been preached before. IUIC needs your help in pushing this truth. So join us. Subscribe to our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and podcast, and stay up to date with us. For more information, please visit www.israelunite.org.